A few days ago, when I was in prayer, the Lord put this thought in my heart that somehow we are a message being written by Him. We are a story in the making. Actually, there's a scripture in 2 Corinthians that says, "Clearly you are an epistle of Christ, ministered by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living God." Our story is being written by God. And the scripture tells us that we as believers are like letters that someone else is going to read. And Christ is writing our story, and that tells us that the Lord is forming and developing our life as we go. And that is something that is beneficial for us, but also it produces a testimony, a story that is going to be a benefit or a blessing for someone else. That testimony is very important. Now, when I was a kid, I remember going to church and loving the time of sharing, and people will stand up and say, "This is what God has done in my life. This is the miracle that the Lord has done in my life, the healing." And I remember thinking, wow, I don't think God is doing anything miraculous in my life. My life is pretty normal, pretty ordinary. And I thought like that for a long time until one day I realized that that wasn't truth. Now I go back and I can look at my life and see how God actually was working in my life through all the different stages of it. In every season, God was doing something. And I just couldn't see it. Why I wasn't able to see it? Because it was just an ordinary thing. It was a normal side of my life. And sometimes that is our struggle. And maybe you were in the same case saying, I don't see the Lord working in my life. But let me tell you something. Sometimes the greatest work that God is doing is hidden in the normalcy of our lives. And we have to know that our God is not just trying to make things happen. He actually has ordered steps for us. Psalms 37 says, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." Now, the Lord provides divine guidance, and he delights himself in seeing his people walking in every step he has prepared for them. But also, if we stumble, he is ready to uphold us and to help us. And it is very important because sometimes life can be complicated. And a lot of times, if we're honest enough, we look at our life and be like, this is maybe not the life that I've been hoping for. Maybe I had a different idea how life is going to be. Sometimes there's imperfections in our life. Sometimes there's failures and shortcomings. And rather than us pushing through and trying to make things happen and in a way making things worse, we need to turn to the Lord, because he does have the power to take all of those things and making something of it, something better, something that is going to be a blessing for us. Now, the scripture tells us that there are wonderful things that he has prepared for his people, for the ones that love him. It says, "It is written, eye has not seen, nor ear heard, not even enter into the heart of man the things, the wonderful things, which God has prepared for those who love him." And when I look back in my life, not everything was perfect. There was challenges, there was some pain, tears, unexpected things, and maybe it's the same way with you. And someone might be thinking, is this the wonderful story? Is this something that God can use? How is it possible that this life is going to be good for something greater than just a sad story? Well, the scripture tells us again that all things, not just some, not just the good part, but everything works together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. So I challenge you today to allow the Lord and have the willingness of heart to see your life and to believe that he is working actively in your life. He is, in a way, writing your story. And let me tell you something else. Maybe in honesty, you can see your life and there might be some pages of imperfection. Maybe there are some broken pieces. Maybe there are some chapters that you don't want to remember or you don't want nobody else to know. And yet God, who is the author and also the finisher of that story, is weaving a masterpiece of grace and redemption, turning your story, our story, into a testament of his love, his faithfulness, and for the glory of his name.